So there's a interesting phenomenon that occurs once you've been in a profession long enough, is that you start adapting to the salaries and wages that you actually get. And then you start looking around and start making social comparisons based on those salaries and wages. And, it's an interesting phenomenon because I was thinking about this as, growing up, we didn't have a lot of money in my family. I mean, we did okay. Like, we had a decent life in a lot of different ways, but we never had any money. I remember hearing no so many times. I actually didn't participate in any particular sport because it just cost too much money. We had a big family with a single income my dad worked in a pulp and paper mill, and he was just like an operator. So we had, it was a good union job, but it wasn't a lot to go around. So I heard no all the time, with doing different things that I wanted to try out. Partly probably some of that was difficult for my parents to just manage things. They had so many kids, and it wasn't at an era. My parents were not of an era where they would do all of that kind of stuff. So we would, I just heard no a lot. So I ended up hanging out at home, going out in the bush or the woods on the weekends. And that was my things that I did fun, was just a lot of solo stuff or walking. And, I carry that on today still. But what I wanted to point out is we didn't have a lot. And it was never really like a problem in our family. Like, my parents were extremely financially frugal. And it was never an issue. We always had like a Sunday dinner, we always had Christmas, things that some families go without because they really, really struggle with that. Even though my parents, we didn't have a lot coming in as a family, in terms of income, they were just amazing with managing money. And they did a phenomenal job of keeping within budget and all of that kind of stuff. And so by the time I went to university, they didn't pay for much of it. They definitely gave me in my first year a couple $1,000s, and that was the extent of what happened. And I'm very thankful about that. But this is part of the reason why I'm telling this story, is that, going to university was my ticket to sort of move up in this world. And so I went to an engineering program and thought, there's a simple correlation. The more school you get in something that was in demand, the more money you should make, right? Like a pretty simple correlation. And I didn't want to become an MD. It's just like not my thing. Looking back, I could have done that now. That was just, I don't know, in my head. So I did the sort of next logical thing, right? I was in engineering, and I did business at the same time. I actually, took a bunch of extra courses. I worked like crazy all the time. I took like a minor in management, and then, I also double majored so I was almost triple majoring in sociology as well, because I thought that was understanding people is a really important thing. And then in my master's program, I did, management, because I thought that's like a good career, right? And then after, I actually did a PhD because I thought, you'd make a lot more money and do really well. PhD in business. And I did finance. I almost double majored again, just didn't do my comps in finance. and strategy. So, worked my ass off to get, because I was sort of thinking like, hey, just the more that school you get, the more you're actually going to make. And so I got out into the working world. And first of all, once I finished all of that, it was really hard to get a job. And it was really tough. I graduated. I was supposed to graduate in 2008, or actually 2009. And I stayed for another year because I thought I was going to be the person that did a really good thesis. Turned out I'd have to stay for another 3 years after that. So it was really tough to get a job. And then after that, the job market is not as sort of fluid as you think it is. There's a lot of factors that happen, right? It's not easy to uproot your kids, just go to different places. There's a lot of different things. And so what you end up getting is, basically the salary you get, barring sort of adjustments for inflation and things like that. Good morning. You end up getting the same salary all the way through. And the thing is, you look around after and you start making social comparisons, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And you can't really, you look at other people and you start thinking about man, I should be doing better. And, I look back and I realize this is kind of nuts, because I'm already doing really well and doing phenomenally well. I'm able to put my kids in, all sorts of programs whenever they need it. We're able to get them tutors when they need it. Anything they want, we basically do or need, we do. We never have had to say no. Early on, we definitely did, for sure, when the kids were little, because we didn't have the sort of financial income. But now it's a completely different story. And this is the thing that I want to point out is, you grapple with where your position is, and thinking about how should I handle this? How should I be happy about things? And one part of you is sort of career aspirational, and the other part is looking around thinking, holy cow, I'm okay in a lot of ways. And so I don't know what the right answer is with any of this, but it's just a really interesting phenomenon in terms of grappling with it, of we're doing okay. And at the same time, you look around, you do social comparisons, and you think, man, I should worry about that and all of that kind of the salaries and things, but I don't know. And that's where, I don't know if you know this, the theme of this podcast is there's not a lot that you do know. And there's all sorts of questions that you sort of wonder about and where you should be. And I think that's normal, to be uncertain and ambiguous about what is the right thing to do. So with that, I want to leave, just that question is, it's okay to not know where you stand. And it's okay to sort of grapple with these two ends of the story and just be going forward with it. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.